bought this cherry crochet kit from Target? Are you completely confused by the instructions? If so, know that you're not alone. Throw the instructions away and watch this tutorial instead, and I'll show you how to make this cute little set of cherries. This tutorial is very beginner friendly, however I assume you know how to do a slip knot, a starting chain and a single crochet. If this is your first time picking up a crochet hook, take a look in the description where I've included some tutorials for those foundational concepts. Otherwise, I'll cover everything that you need to know to be able to make this little set of cherries. So let's get stuck in. So this is everything that you get included in the kit. The important thing to note about this crochet hook is that the size that's printed on it is wrong. It says it's the 3mm at this end and a 4mm at this end, but actually this end's closer to a 2.5 and this end is more like a 3. So just keep that in mind if you plan to use this hook again for a different project. If you're using the hook that's included in the kit, then you want to use the end that says 3. I would suggest as well putting a little bit of coloured tape or something on this end of the hook so that when you're picking up and putting down your work, you don't forget which end you're working with. If you want to use your own crochet hook, then you want to use a 2.5mm. So to start your cherry, you want to make a magic loop or a magic circle. So to do that, you want to hold your yarn tail facing down between your thumb and first finger, and then wrap the yarn around your two fingers, go underneath, and then cross over the top, like so. Then you want to take your crochet hook, go under this first strand, hook the second strand and pull it through, and twist it up. Then you want to grab this piece of yarn and pull it through as a slip stitch. And there's your magic circle. Now we want to do 6 single crochets into the magic circle. So instead of inserting your hook into a stitch like you normally would, you just insert it into the middle of the circle instead. So that's our first single crochet. Now because we're going to be working in the round, it's really important to use your stitch marker. We just want to insert this under the stitch that we've just made to mark it as the first stitch in our round. And we want to do 6 single crochets in total. Then to close up your loop, you just want to pull on the yarn tail and you'll get something that looks like this. And that's the end of round 1. Now for round 2, we're going to do 6 increases. So an increase just means that you will do 2 single crochets into each individual stitch. So 1 single crochet, move your stitch marker, and now you'll do a second single crochet into that very same stitch. And then into the next stitch we'll again do 2 single crochets. You just want to repeat this into every stitch, so by the end of row 2 you'll have 12 stitches. Now for row 3 we're going to alternate between single crochets and increases. So single crochet into the first stitch, increase into the second, single crochet into the third. And just keep alternating between single crochets and increases. You'll do that 6 times in total and have 18 stitches by the end of row 3. Now for row 4, you'll do a single crochet and increase a single crochet and then repeat that 6 times. By the end of row 4 you'll have 24 stitches. And then for rows 5 through to 9 you're just going to do 24 stitches all the way around. And I'll meet you back here once you're at row 10. Okay, once you're at the end of row 9, now is a good time to weave in your initial yarn tail. So when you remove your hook from your work, just draw up a really big loop so that it doesn't come undone. Now while you've been working on your cherry, it's probably had a tendency to curve in this way, but this is actually the wrong side of the work. And the way that you can tell is that your initial yarn tail will be poking through on the wrong side of the work. If you push it through this way, you'll see the stitches just look a little bit more defined, a little neater, and this is the right side of the work. To weave in our yarn tail, we want to push it through to the wrong side of our work. Take your tapestry needle and thread your yarn tail onto it. Pull it nice and tight so that your magic circle closes up, and then you just want to weave in and through your stitches to secure it in place. Ideally you want to work under about 4 or 5 stitches and in at least 3 different directions. If you've got your own metal tapestry needle, I would suggest using that because the head of this needle they include in the kit is very wide, and so it can be quite hard to pull through your stitches without pulling your stitches loose. So once you've woven it through, typically you would trim this yarn tail off, but because we're going to stuff our cherry, we can actually just leave it in there and it'll just form part of the stuffing when we fill it with polyfill. So now flip your work back to the right side and we're going to start doing some decreases. So we'll just do a normal single crochet into the first stitch of row 10. And then into our second stitch we're going to do a decrease. So I'll show you how to do an invisible decrease, which just gives a slightly cleaner finish to your work than a standard decrease. So what you want to do is insert your hook under only the first prong of the next stitch. So typically you would insert your hook under both like so, but we just want to go under this first one only. And then you want to swing your hook down so that you can get your head under the first prong only of the next stitch after that. So you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Then you want to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And that's a decrease. Then we'll do a single crochet into the next stitch. Then we repeat the pattern, so another single crochet and another decrease. So under this first prong, under the front prong of the stitch after that, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. This is really just a way of turning 2 stitches into 1. So you want to repeat that pattern 6 times. By the end of row 10 you'll have 18 stitches. Then for row 11 you want to alternate between single crochets and decreases. You'll do that 6 times and have 12 stitches by the end of row 11. Okay, once you're finished with row 11, now we want to stuff our cherry. Then once you've stuffed your cherry, for round 12 you just want to do 6 decreases. So by the end of row 12 you'll have 6 stitches. And then I'll show you how to do an invisible close to close up your cherry. Okay, so once you've finished your final row, you just want to cut a decent yarn tail. And then to do an invisible close, you just want to thread your yarn onto your tapestry needle. And then to fasten off, just pull that all the way through the loop on your hook. And you want to thread your yarn tail onto your tapestry needle. And now to do an invisible close, we're going to weave our yarn through the front loops of our final row. So each of our stitches here has a loop that's closest to you and then one that's furthest away. We're going to go just under this first loop, then down under the next one, so on all the way around. And then you can just pull that tight and it will close up the hole in the middle. Then to secure our end, we just want to weave in and through a few stitches. And then you can hide the yarn end by just inserting your needle into your cherry and then pulling it all the way through somewhere else. Then you can trim this end and squish it in a little bit, and that will keep it nice and secure. And there's your first little cherry. Now you just want to repeat this process for your second cherry, and then I'll show you how to do the leaf and stem. Now to make the leaf, you want to take your green yarn. Now I couldn't make head nor tails of the instructions for the leaf in this kit, so I'm actually going to use the pattern from the Bee and Sunflower Kmart kit, which I've separately done a tutorial on. So firstly you just want to make a slip knot and then chain 16. And now we're going to work into the back bump. So if you look at your chain, the front side of your chain will have these, and then if you flip your chain over, you'll see that there are these little back bumps, little humps across the back, and it's into these back bumps that we're going to do our first row. And we want to work into the second chain from your hook. So this is the first back bump, this is the second back bump, and we'll do a single crochet. Into the next back bump you'll do a half double crochet, so yarn over, insert your hook into the back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You'll do double crochets into the next 3 stitches, so yarn over, insert your hook into the back bump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the final 2 loops. We'll do that 3 times into the next 3 stitches. Working into the back bumps can be a little bit tricky. If you're having issues, it might be because your starting chain is too tight, so try redoing the chain with a larger hook if you're having real issues. Into the next stitch we'll do a single crochet, and then a slip stitch. So to do a slip stitch, just insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull this loop through the one on your hook. Then single crochet, half double crochet, three more double crochets, half double crochet, and single crochet. Okay, now we're going to work into the other side of our chain. So if you turn over your work, because we worked into the back bumps, we've now got a nice chain of V's along the bottom edge of our leaf, and so we're going to work into these V's for our next row. And this row is actually just a repeat of the last row. So we'll do a single crochet into the first stitch, half double crochet, double crochets into the next 3 stitches, single crochet, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet followed by 3 double crochets, half double crochet, and single crochet. Now we just want to fasten off. And there's a little leaf. Okay, now for the stem. So the instructions just say to chain 45 stitches, which you can do. That's obviously a pretty straightforward way to do it. But I find that a chain is just a little bit flimsy, so I'll show you an alternative way just to give your stem a little bit more strength. So firstly, you just want to do a slip knot as normal, and then you want to chain 2. So you've made 2 little V's with your chains, and each V has a left hand prong and a right hand prong. You want to insert your hook under the left hand prong of the very first chain stitch that you made. So skip 1 and then put your hook under the left hand prong of the first chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're just going to repeat that. So then it's a little bit hard to see with this yarn, but you'll see of the stitch we've just made, there's a left hand prong and a right hand prong. So we want to insert our hook under the left hand prong, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, under the left hand prong, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And you just want to repeat this process 45 times in total. So once you've done your 45 double chains, you can fasten off. And now our final step is just to assemble our cherry. Okay, so you just want to fold your stem into a loop, and then you want to take one of your yarn ends from your leaf and thread it onto your tapestry needle. So working on the wrong side, you want to weave it through your work until it pops out in the middle. Then you can use it to attach the loop of your stem in place. And then just weave it in to secure. And then we can just use these two yarn ends to secure this stem to our cherries. And once it's secure, again, you can just enter your needle into the cherry and pop out somewhere else to hide the tail. And there's your little cherry complete. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Let me know in the comments if there are any parts of this pattern that are still stumping you, or if there are any other kits that you'd like me to make a tutorial on. Thanks for crocheting with me this afternoon, and happy crafting.